Welcome to this video tutorial. In this video, we will talk about other tutorials. I've maintained a list of Unity tutorials and resources for about 10 years, and I just now completely rewrote that list and hosted it on a new website. And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, the website is called xr.community, and it is mostly dealing with VR, AR, and MR in the context of healthcare, education, and training, so not really gaming related. However, I thought it was still a good place to place my list of tutorials and different resources that I've been using and that I really think are helpful for Unity. So here on this website, just go to resources, and while everything is still under development, just scroll down to Unity tutorials and click on this list. And here you have, again, a work in progress, and I'm still looking through some of the courses that are listed, and I'm still in the process of really going through all these tutorials, but some of the tutorials that are listed are just based on either some sample content, some recommendations from colleagues and friends that I trust, and then I really also try to just go through all of these different tutorials myself so I can provide some better insights into what I think is useful and what is not. Now, if you're aware of any tutorials or any resources for Unity that are not on this list, let me know, leave a comment below, and I'm happy to look at them and eventually add them to the list if they're any useful. All right, so let's get started and let's dive right in. Now, for anybody starting out with Unity, I recommend just going from top to bottom, because at the very top here, we're just looking at installing Unity and really deciding which license is best for you. And if you're just a hobbyist or just really trying Unity out for the first time and don't have any intention of using it commercially yet, then the personal version is probably your best choice. So you can just go on this website here and choose one of these versions and start installing it. Now, the requirement of using Plus or Pro version of Unity are solely based on the annual gross revenue that you or your company have, or the funding that your project has. And if that's over 100,000 or 200,000, then that dictates what kind of version you need to use. All right, there's two different ways to install Unity: a download assistant and Unity Hub. And I would really recommend that you use Unity Hub just because it makes your life much, much easier, both in terms of managing your projects and then also of managing your installs. So whenever you install a new updated version of Unity, it will be listed here, and you can just select the different versions and open each project with its own version if needed. And that's a really, really good way, as opposed to just managing all those photos yourself and then kind of figuring out which version of Unity to start for each project. So definitely Unity Hub is worth installing. Now, Unity Hub also has some tutorials built in, and here those getting started tutorials are actually used in the Unity editor. So you can download them, start them up in the editor, and they will guide you through the interface and how to use the editor. And I think that is really useful, and that's probably the first thing you should do if you start out with Unity. And that's what we mentioned here already. And this is part of Unity Learn. And Unity Learn is sort of the umbrella term for all the different tutorials and all the different things that Unity offers in terms of resources for learning how to use the game engine. And those are different categories, but let's just start here with tutorials and projects. And here you have a long list of topics and like lots of different tutorials, either about projects or about individual like scripting topics and best practices and so on. And my recommendation before you go to any paid course or anything else is to go through this list and really take some time and read and watch the videos and really get familiar with the topics. Even later on, if you're more experienced, you can go back to those individual topics here. For example, scripting, there's some intermediate and advanced topics where you can specifically look at certain things that you're still struggling with and learn. And this is sort of a change that I made probably about 2-3 years ago. Back then, I would recommend to kind of skip the Unity content and go straight to, maybe look at the manual, Unity's manual, but then start looking for like Udemy and other platforms because that content was better. But Unity has done a really good job of creating all the content and really producing high quality content with those projects and those different topics. So that is my first recommendation. Start there, start with Unity Learn, and really dive in. You have all the different links here for the manual, and there's Unity Connect as well if you're looking for like user groups and things like that to connect live with people. And that should really get you started. Once you've done that and you still feel like I need a better grasp of things and I maybe need something more involved, then you have Unity courses. And Unity courses sort of come in two shapes and forms, and ones that are endorsed by Unity or sort of delivered by authorized Unity instructors, and others that are not. However, I'd say that should not be the only criteria for you to choose one of those courses, because the first one that I recommend here is on Udemy, and it is taught by Ben Tristram and his team of Game Dev TV, I believe they're called. And let's just have a look here. You have 5 different courses right now available, and as you can see right now, they're 13 euros in this case. I have to say those courses are absolutely fantastic. You can see they're high ratings. I've personally completed the 2D and the 3D course, and I really have to say that they're high quality content and not affiliated with Ben or his team in any way, but I can really recommend doing those courses for $13, whatever it may be. So really make sure that whenever you purchase something on Udemy, don't pay the full price. So don't spend $200 on a course, but rather just wait. Usually there is a discount applied anywhere between 80 and I think the highest is like 93% discount. And if there is no discount applied, either look for coupon codes online, or I have a link here for, there's a coupon code, I think for like 83% off or something like that, that I've had from like years back that is still working. So have a look at those courses, and I feel like they're a really good start for beginners to like go through projects and follow along with those video courses. There's a whole community around it, so you can ask questions. There's forums. You can talk to other people that are going through the same courses. There's quizzes and a lot of extra material, so you can download all the course material and so on. So really good beginner friendly videos that will help you get started. Now there's another set of tutorials on Udemy, which is by Jonathan Weinberger, and he's the authorized Unity instructor, so he's sort of endorsed by Unity. And he has a similar assortment of courses. Now there's some courses here in Portuguese. So if that's what you're looking for, then Jonathan has it covered. And again, I have no affiliation with his courses, but I have not completed those courses myself. I just had a closer look at them, and they seem to be of similar quality to what Ben Tristram is doing. So again, dive right in. I don't think you can really go wrong with any of these. There's lots of content, hours and hours of content. I can see 13 hours here and another 13 hours here. So again, I think those courses are absolutely worth your time to get started in Unity. Next, we have the VR Nano degree on Udacity. Now, that's a bit more involved. It's a 6-month program. Right now, you can see I can only join the waiting list. So depending on when you watch this video, there might be openings in the latest intake for this program. And it's 3 terms, 2 months each. So you're investing 6 months with 10 hours a week approximately. I haven't completed this nano degree, but I plan on taking part in the next one. And it's a bit of a mixed bag, I think, because when it first started, most of the reviews were actually really mixed, and there were a lot of people that were saying, hey, this is a waste of my time. There's only sort of VR is just an afterthought of this. This is more like basic intro to Unity, which is fine. I mean, that's what, if that's what it does, then I think that's still valuable of being listed here. But I think also sort of the community engagement and sort of the customer service were a bit mixed. I think that improved because when you look at the student ratings now, people are much happier with how the courses are being run these days. But you really got to think about, okay, now this is a big time investment. I could squeeze in a couple of other courses like on Udemy or on other sites in those 6 months. And is that really worth it? Yes, you get a certificate. And yes, this is in collaboration with Google and Vive and Samsung and so on. Question is, how relevant is this really for getting a job or whatever your goal might be to get up to speed with Unity? And whether VR is really one of the topics that you're interested in. So I cannot say more about the course than that, just because I haven't taken part yet. But once I do, I plan to make a more in-depth review about the nano degree. All right, next there is the mobile VR app development with Unity on Coursera by Peter Patterson. And there's a free option for this to take part as audit only. And then if you want to earn a certificate, you pay approximately $100. Not sure exactly what it is. I think the prices for me are in Australian dollars, so I'm not sure how that translates to US dollars. And so again, you can partake for free. It's fairly recent, Unity 2018.1, and that would be an intro to VR development. Now, Unity also offers its own virtual classes. Oh, and skip one. There's Unity game dev courses. Let's go for this one first. This one is directly on the Unity side, so you can sign up here, and it's done in partnership with Pluralsight. And you get this for free if you have either Unity Plus or Unity Pro. I have not completed this one yet, but I will, since I already have Unity Pro. I should be looking at this in more detail. For now, I'm just listing it here because it's provided by Unity. So I'm assuming, first of all, that it cannot be absolutely horrible. I feel like it would be interesting to see whether it's worth the $12 per month. So it's a subscription, whether it be much more worthwhile to just purchase Unity Plus and get it for free for now. I feel it's a little bit opaque in terms of understanding what exactly comes with it, because there is these fundamental tracks, but then also there's a project which is called Swords and Shovels. So I'm not really sure whether all of that is provided, and also it says that many more topics are to come. So I'm not sure exactly sort of what the time frame for this is and what exactly is covered as well. I mean, it says 3ds Max and Maya, so I will look at this in more detail, and once I look at the content, I will provide some more details. But I just listed it for now for people to be aware of it. Now, those virtual classes are more in depth, and it says 1 month, but I believe it's just about 3 weeks of in-depth courses in classes of 20 participants. It uses Unity Connect, so it creates a group there, and you can interact with the other group members, with the other students, and have Q&A sessions with the instructor. Now, those come at a sort of I guess a premium price, $320, but for that you get a small class size, whereas if you start with Udemy, you have hundreds and thousands of people using that at the same time, which can be an advantage in terms of the community, in terms of the people that you can interact with, but it can also be a disadvantage because it's a bit harder to get somebody's time from the community team or from the instructors. Anyway, so this is offered by Unity directly. All right. Next, there's Game Tutor. And Game Tutor is an interesting site just because I feel like the tutorials are like really high quality in terms of the production value. It's an interesting selection of niche topic courses. Math for Games, Vertex Painter, you have XML, creating node-based editor. So there's quite a few lessons on creating tools in the Unity editor. Like the side-scrolling system is sort of a tool within Unity to create a side-scroller. It's not creating an actual side-scroller itself, but rather just a tool to build one. And then really looking at sort of the Unity editor in more detail. So it's an interesting combination of topics. And I feel like the production value is really good. So they've really done a good job at creating those courses. Now, there's some courses for free on Game Tutor, but those courses are more in relation to Houdini and Unity. So courses only for Unity with those topics here, you have to pay for those. And I believe they're $200 for an annual subscription. I then list all the larger sites, the Unity tutorials on those sites. So you have Pluralsight, Udemy, Lynda.com, which is owned by LinkedIn, CG Cookie, Pact, and Udacity. And all of those have content for Unity, and you can check those out. Now, really, most of these come with some sort of subscription, so are paid. The only thing that is free is Udacity. Udacity has free Unity content, and you can check those courses out. Pack Publishing is a bit of unique because it doesn't really have a large community or sort of like the forums and all those things. You just purchase content either for individual videos or for books, ebooks, for example, or you can just subscribe to Mapped, which is a service where you have access to a large number of books and topics on Unity. And that's very varied in terms of the content that you find there. All right. Now, if you've gone through all of this and you still have a lot of questions, then obviously each of those sites more or less allows you to ask some questions to the instructors. But then there's a number of websites that will also answer questions that you have. Now, the first thing you can do is obviously ask Google, and you just do a Google search. But here we actually have a custom search for Google that really just looks at relevant Unity-related sites, so that you don't get a lot of the background noise and a lot of other stuff that might not be relevant to tutorials and to resources for Unity. So if you have any questions, just let's say Unity and we want to find out about, let's say we want to find out about Mechanim. And we can just search and we get a pop-up here. Now there's obviously some ads. That's hard to avoid. But then we really have like Unity Learn and documentation, some YouTube tutorials. So it's a customized search that specifically looks at Unity tutorials. So try it out, see whether you find anything useful. And then we have a list of different sites. Unity Answers is a great site for really questions and answers. And you can just find different topics. So before you ask any questions on Unity Answers, please search first and have a look at different topics here, whether your question's already answered. But it's a great resource for questions, whether you're stuck with any of the functionalities of Unity. Unity Forums is a bit broader, has a lot of different topics to cover. And there, if you have, I guess, broader questions, or you have very specific questions for a certain project or for a certain asset that you purchased, Unity Forums is the place to go. So you kind of have to see which questions fit better to Unity Answers, which might also be sort of more relevant to a wider range of people other than yourself. Or if you have very specific questions, then Unity Forums might be the better place. Unity Knowledge Base is actually a quite interesting one that I didn't know about for quite some time. But those are very specific questions to like licenses, to the asset store, like publishing on the asset store, to accounts and so on. So those are maintained by the support team of Unity, and sort of some of the regular questions they come across, and they posted the questions and answers here on this site, which might be useful for you as well. Then you have subreddits. There is the Unity subreddit, and there's a link missing here, Unity tutorial subreddit. Now, there can be some really useful content there. Now, it's Reddit, so stay civil, guys. Don't bash each other. But it might be worth a search as well for you to check out what's on the Unity subreddit and the Unity tutorials subreddit. Lastly, now, if you can ask in those video course platforms, you can ask questions there. But if you're totally stuck and you couldn't find anything here anywhere, then feel free to send a message to us here at xr.community, and I'm answering every single question. So anything that I can help with, I'm happy to help. Or you can also leave questions down below in the comments, and we can see whether we can help you in any way. Next section is on books. Now, the first sort of section of books I already mentioned, and that's Packt Publishing. They're mostly known for a lot of technology content in terms of books and ebooks, and they recently also expanded towards video tutorials. There's a variety of different topics, not just Unity, so all sort of game development or software development topics. And it's pretty similar to Udemy. Never purchase anything on Packt for full price. Make sure that you get discounts on all of your books. However, there's also a Mapped subscription, which gives you access to all of the different ebooks and all of the different videos. And that's $150 annually. All right. Now, with any of these books, or pretty much any of the content, you always have to make sure that the content is up to date, especially if it's sort of broad topics like project-related work, where you have to follow along and do this, replicate whatever is being done in the video. Because it can be really frustrating if you're trying to follow along and some of the functionality completely changed, the interfaces in Unity and the editor changed, and you get stuck and you don't know exactly how to deal with it. So if you, now in 2018 use tutorials for Unity 5 from like 3 or 4 years ago, then that can be problematic. Now, an exception to this is, for example, here with Packt, if you have like specialty topics, there's books on optimization, for example, that were written 2 or 3 years ago. And I know this one in particular because I was one of the technical reviewers of that book. And I can say that this one is still viable today, just because the topics covered there in terms of how things are being rendered and how things are being optimized, sort of how you can optimize your content in Unity is really relevant. It was relevant 3 years ago and probably will be still relevant like 3 years from now, unless something fundamentally changes in how we render things. Now, Unity is changing a lot of things with rendering, especially in terms of the render pipelines, the high quality render pipeline, and so on, all of those things that are coming up or are now available in Unity. So while some things may change, I think some of the fundamental principles of optimization or other things like shader programming probably will stay fairly similar for quite a while. So if you are looking for those books or videos on those sort of niche topics or specific topics, then going with an older book or an older tutorial might still be viable. All right, now I don't have a long list of books here, but one that stands out because it's I guess the most highly recommended book, and the book that has been recommended to me multiple times as well, is by Mike Geig. I hope I'm not butchering his name, but the book is called Unity 2018 Game Development in 24 Hours. And that's the 3rd edition of this already, so it's just an updated version now, so to make sure it stays current. And I think this is by far the best book on Unity available right now. Now, this may change again, so if a lot of things change and we're then in Unity 2020 or something, then maybe there's a 4th edition. If not, then maybe there's other books that might be more viable and that might be more up to date. But for now, this book is just fantastic. And there's 2 things to note about this. So first of all, Mike, the author, is also employed by Unity. So he's one of the people really responsible for Unity Learn, for all the content on Unity's website. So you should probably go to Unity Learn first and look at the content there and see whether you like that style of content, because there is quite a bit of things that you will also find in the book that you can find on the website. That's a good and a bad thing, I think, just because for the people that prefer like having a book and actually going through pages, taking notes in there and so on, or putting like post-its in there, a book will always be better. But at the same time, also I've heard people say, I thought that was a waste of money just because most of the content is also available on Unity's website. So it's a sort of two-edged sword, but I feel like the way it's presented and sort of the quality of the content is absolutely up there. And it's, if you're asking for one book to buy to get started in Unity, this is the book. All right, let's go to the next section, video tutorials. This is the section that is by now, for now, the shortest, and that I will be expanding in the future. It's just that it takes quite a bit of time to sift through YouTube and all different channels to find good content for Unity, and things get outdated fairly quickly, and people don't necessarily like regularly post things on their YouTube channels. So it's really a matter of finding up-to-date content. Now, the first one that usually is up-to-date is Unity's YouTube channel, and you should definitely check it out. Just because, just for like Unite sessions. Unite is the sort of conference series that happens around the world several times a year. And there's sessions by Unity employees talking about new features, roadmaps, and really technical deep dives. So really going into detail about certain features that are upcoming, or just sort of tutorial style lectures. And they're great. And if you cannot attend those live events, which I highly recommend, I really like Unite as an event. If you just want the content, then it's all on the Unity YouTube channel. Check it out. One YouTube channel I've been following lately that I really enjoyed is Saiku, and he covers a lot of tips and tricks, mostly level design, because I think that's his expertise. He does speed level design challenges, and he covers also Unity and Unreal Engine. So if you're on the fence about using either Unity or Unreal Engine, then Saiku's channel is probably good for you. He has a couple of videos on that, and he's updating it regularly. He also has done a number of asset reviews from the asset store for Unity, but there hasn't been any videos for that in the past 6 months or so. So hopefully he will pick that back up again. And I will certainly add more channels and video tutorials here to this list. And if you know of any good video tutorials that are not necessarily like full-on courses, like in the section above, then let me know and I can add them here. Now, the last section here is text-based tutorials, and that is sort of like its own beast, because I regularly find people that are asking for text-based tutorials just because either they get bored or they don't like sort of the drawn out style of some of the video tutorials, and rather just like to follow along with text tutorials. And that's this section is for you if that's what you're looking for. And there's a number of things that you should absolutely be aware of. So if you haven't already checked it out, because I recommended it above as well, there's Unity's manual, and that's just like, there's nothing better out there. The text-based resource for Unity is its own manual. The reason for that is because, first of all, it covers pretty much everything there is to Unity in terms of all different components and all the different features. But at the same time, also, it links up to the Unity script reference. So if you come across a certain component and you don't really know how to use it or what it does, then you just click on it, and it will guide you to the Unity script reference and really sort of look at in detail sort of how you can use it and give you that information. So that's I think a big advantage. Now there's some other tutorials or sort of like posts on the Unity website that are really useful that I actually just found recently. That is, it's called Creators Corner and Developers Corner. They're sort of different sites, but they're trying to achieve the exact same thing. There's about, I think, 5 posts on each of them. So there's not a lot of content, but what's there is absolutely fantastic. So there is a post by Valentin Simonov, who's a Unity field engineer, and he just posted recently common mistakes to avoid. And that's just fantastic. So you shouldn't start a new project until you read this. And I'm sure the more experienced users will go, yep, doing this. But then there's also points where like, yep, I should be doing this, but I'm not. So there's a lot of really good recommendations there. Definitely read it, check it out. There's other posts about virtual reality, about a number of like animation and timeline and other features. So definitely worth a read. Good content there. The next one is Unity blog, and I feel like it can have useful information in there. There's usually some news, some feature previews, and so on. So it's definitely something worth following if you're using Unity regularly, just because you might be coming across some new feature that you didn't even know about yet. The next 2 text tutorials are sort of classics. There's Cat-like coding, which has been around for quite some time. Luckily, the author of that updated most of his tutorials to Unity 2017.1. And most of the topics really don't change too much over time because they're covering shaders, rendering, and C# for Unity. And I think it's a really good resource. It's free. Check out Cat-like coding. Been recommending this for years, and really think it's a good resource. The other one is Noob Tudes, and that's a really good collection of text tutorials, and it's covering 3D games and 2D games, so sort of game-based tutorials where you follow along. And there's free content, so there's a number of free tutorials, and then there's some premium ones where you pay $20 once and you get access to all of them. Now, those tutorials are still from Unity 5, so about 3 years old, but I think there's still enough content there that's relevant today, and you can always just have a look because there's some free tutorials there. So take a look at them, see whether you like them. The really good thing about those tutorials is that they're very clean, very concise, and really high quality in terms of the sort of flow of the text and the images and sort of step-by-step what you have to do. So I really like him for that. The next one is a bit sort of messy. I guess it's a Gamasutra's blog, which has a lot of different content, not just related to Unity, but to the games industry in general. And there's a lot of content there because there's blog posts every single day published by different authors. So there's really a variety of opinions and content there. Now, once in a while, you will get some tutorials, sort of mini tutorials as a blog post. And I think, again, it can be a mixed bag because you never know sort of how concise the author is and how things are being described. But if you just search Gamasutra's blog, there's just a number of tutorials there that are, I think, really, really great. And once in a while, you really come across hidden gems. One of these is 50 Unity Tips and Tricks. That's by Herman Tulliken. There was an original version in 2012, but he updated it in 2016 just because it was like a big success. And I feel like similar to like sort of the common mistakes to avoid, sort of a list of tips and tricks can be really, really helpful because it kind of gives you those light bulb moments where like, oh, I never knew that. And you should definitely check that out. It's a good resource. Let's have a look. 2016 edition, and here you have like 50 things that you should absolutely be doing. I think a lot of it is really related to code, so C#, best practices, and so on. So have a look through. Now, the last one here is on Twitter, and that's a really cool one that is the hashtag Unity Tips. And let's just have a look at this. And it's pretty similar to the Gamasutra blog, is that it's a mixed bag of content. You never know sort of who uses the hashtag. Some of it is self-promotion or whatever it might be, but there's really a number of absolutely useful information in there. And a lot of times it's like GIFs or like short videos with some explanation. And there's just so many things here under this hashtag that are moments where I'm like, I never knew that Unity did that. A lot of undocumented features, a lot of little nuggets of wisdom that people found out just by accident, or that they've been using for years and they just want to share with people. It requires a lot of searching because there's tons and tons of those tweets, but I feel like absolutely worth it. It's definitely something that I will be looking into further. And there was a website, I think it was devdog.io, that was collecting those and like publishing each week sort of the top Unity tips of the week. Unfortunately, those were taken down. I don't know where they are anymore. So I might be picking up this myself, but because I really feel like some of those tips and tricks are just absolutely invaluable. So have a look at Twitter for the hashtag Unity tips, and you'll find some nuggets that are absolutely great and that will completely change the way you look at some features or that you work in Unity. All right, so this is the list right now. This is, I feel like, comprehensive enough to be useful for novices and for more advanced users alike. If you have any additional things that you want on this list, or a book that you've written, or anything that really helped you along the way with Unity, please let me know. Write in the comments below, and I will try to add things to this list over time. I'll definitely keep this updated. If you liked any of this, then just subscribe to our channel, and thanks for watching. See you next time.